In this video, we're going to take a look at GitHub 1S, which is probably the quickest way to go from a GitHub repository to viewing code in an editor. And the reason this was created probably, or why it's useful, is because in GitHub, you can click and you can open your files, and it's fine. It's a little slow. You got to click on them and open it. You don't have instant feedback. You don't have like the tree kind of view that you would see in most editors. And so it can be cumbersome to go through. Like if I just want to quickly open a file that I know is in .husky, for instance, this git ignore, I can't open it from this main screen. I have to go through a couple of different clicks and a couple of different screens. And let me just refresh this page. So I'll get rid of this little thing that was there. I'll show you in a sec. But the idea is, well, why can't we just open this in an editor really quickly? So in order to do that, you can just append 1S to the GitHub URL base name, the host name. So if it's github.com, you change it to GitHub 1S, and then it'll just open whatever repository you're in right in a VS Code instance in your browser. So this is going to be read-only. So if I click somewhere and try and type, it's not going to do anything. I can't make changes, which is fine. This is just for reviewing code and kind of getting a feel for the structure or whatever else you would want to do in VS Code. So yeah, it's not officially provided by GitHub. It's just a third-party thing. But this is the quickest way, as far as I know, the quickest way to get GitHub repository code into an editor where you can at least navigate around very easily, not necessarily play with it and run the code. Like it doesn't have full VS Code functionality like extensions or anything, but you can click and highlight and do a bunch of stuff. If you try to use keyboard combinations, they'll probably gobbled up by the browser. So like if I press Command W, it's going to ask me if I want to leave the page. I'll stay on it. So again, this applies to any repository. So if I go to one of my repos and I change to GitHub 1S, this is just somewhere that I'm doing NBA draft analysis on different draft picks and how they rank and stuff like that. There's probably going to be a video on that in the future. But if I add 1S to this, you can see it's going to open this into a VS Code instance right here. So I can jump through these files and folders and play with this. Again, it's read-only, so if I try to add a file or a folder, it's not going to do anything. But super helpful. You can navigate through here just like you would in VS Code, if a VS Code is your thing. Another thing that I found as I was checking out GitHub 1S is at the bottom here, there's different browser extensions. I'm on Firefox, so I played with a few of these. These first two only pertain to GitHub 1S. And this last one is more generic. So this is the button that I got rid of when I refreshed the page earlier. So apparently it doesn't have that many users yet, but I found it pretty useful. So if you add it, I can click out of this now. And now when I go to the top here, you have Open in Web IDE. And then it'll give you a couple of different options. So again, if I used GitHub 1S, it's going to be super fast. Open it in VS Code. I could also do Code Sandbox, which will give you a more fully featured editor and IDE where you actually can make changes to the files. You can run them. And if you make changes and save, it's going to fork this repository and fork this folder structure into your own probably. So if you want to like save it and persist it, you might have to have your own Code Sandbox account, which is free. But anyway, that's super helpful. And then there's a couple others. I haven't even heard of GitPod or SourceGraph, so I guess I'll have to give these a shot. But yeah, this opens relatively quickly as well. And you can see the code for a repository really quickly in any of these different web IDEs. Again, probably GitHub 1S is the very fastest because it's read-only. But yeah, any of these are super helpful. GitHub 1S is super helpful. You don't have to have a browser extension. You can just add 1S again to your URL, and it's going to pop it right open into a VS Code instance. So I'm definitely going to be using this. It's really helpful and very fast, especially now that I have this extension. I'll just pop it open in here and then be able to kind of navigate through files like that. It's a little bit nicer than just clicking and navigating through files from the normal GitHub UI, at least in my opinion. So hopefully that's interesting. Hopefully it helps out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.